We've got one slight problem with our API backend. Eventually we're going to create a UI to wrap around this, and when we do that we're going to use Angular to create a Spa application. Now, being Angular, we'll generally want to use and work with JSON, and in JavaScript type applications and with JSON, they use a particular type of formatting for when we're manipulating data, and that formatting is called CamelCase. So CamelCase is basically wherever a word or an object name is split up into multiple names. For example, here we have application name. The first letter should always be lowercase, and the first letter of a second word within an object name should be a capital letter. However, in C# when we're dealing with classes and objects, the format is to use capitalization against every word within an object name. So basically, in order to make our Spa application work a little bit more fluidly and to be able to match everything up, we need to be able to change the return output, especially when it returns JSON, from our API application. Luckily, that's relatively easy to do, and so before we go on and build the Spa, we'll go on and actually create that. Go back into your WebAPI project, and what we want to do is go into the WebAPI config. The first thing we want to do is add a reference to the JSON serialization class. And then I'm going to create a method called configure. And because this is a static class, we need to do is a static void. And this will take in a config variable. So what we want to do now is first of all remove any existing formatters that might exist from the configuration. Then we're going to create a new formatter. In particular a JSON format, because that's the data type we're going to be working with. Then we're going to add what's called a contract resolver. And we're going to use a CamelCase contract resolver. Finally, what we'll do, go back up to our main register class here, and we shall call this and pass in our configuration. So what's basically happening here is whenever we start up the WebAPI project, it runs this WebAPI config register command. And one of the things it does is sets up our default route, which is how we get this API / controller name / ID. That's how it knows how to map the actual URL to a specific controller and an action within that controller. And so what we can do is get inside that process there and start configuring the way the web API works, and that's what we've done. So we've removed the XML formatter that's the default formatter and then added our own. So let's just save that and build it. Publish. Let's just go ahead and test that. Let's perform a get command, and now we can see it's lowercasing the first letter, and when we've got an object that's a single name, it's doing that in lowercase. So now with that proven, we just need to go back ahead and republish our application. So with that published, we can go back and try the get command again on our actual web URL, and again, as we can see now, it's CamelCasing the application name.